Hello and welcome to Ielts Learning Academy. My name is Prashant and I'm very excited today about putting my first video on YouTube. This is actually a whole series of the different videos about Ielts. So keep watching it guys, because there are a lot of interesting things about Ielts that is more important in your test. So make sure that you guys are looking at the important aspects of this test, and make sure that you learn a lot of things from this video. This whole series of videos will be talking about different methods that how you can get good score in your IELTS, particularly in your writing. As we all know that this test consists of 4 important aspects: listening, reading, writing and speaking. I'm not worried about your reading and listening. I'm more worried about your writing and speaking, because a lot of the students, when it comes to writing, they think that they have a really good writing, and when it comes to writing their essay, they don't realize actually the basic requirements of the test, that examiners, they always look for these kind of things in each and every essay. So let's talk about the 4 requirements that examiners are always looking for when it comes to checking the essay. So if we give the exact thing that examiners are looking for, it will be more helpful for us to get really good score. The first one is task achievement. The second one is lexical resources. The third one is grammatical range, and the fourth one is coherence and cohesion. So guys, when you write your essays, if you look at these 4 aspects and then according to these requirements, if you write your essay, I'm 100% sure that you'll definitely get more than 6.57 bands in your essay. Now let's have a look each and every aspect in very deep. Let's talk about task achievement first. When we talk about task achievement, what I personally think is task achievement is, as it is named task achievement, we need to achieve the task, what actually the subject is asking us to do. If we don't really look at the subject in deep, and if we don't answer it according to it, then it will be a trouble. Because what normally happens in the writing is we start writing without thinking about what the subject is asking us to do. You might have come across both the sides, and you always think that you have to write both the sides in each and every section, but that is not the fact. The fact is, when it comes to task achievement, we need to look at the question, that what is the question in the essay. If the question is agree disagree, then we need to answer according to it. If it is about writing advantages and disadvantages, we need to have a different structure, we need to achieve the task in a different manner. In task achievement, candidate must apply these things in order to get 7 bands. First thing, it must cover all the requirements of the task. In task achievement, the second thing is to present a clear overview of main trend and different stages of the task. For general, to present a clear purpose. That is more important guys. If you are writing task 1 in general, you need to make sure that you present a clear purpose of your writings. Finally, in task achievement, you need to clearly highlight the key features of the subject. Now let's talk about the second thing, which is coherence and cohesion. Guys, as we all know that coherence is basically putting the ideas in a logical order. So if you might have been writing your essay in a different way, then you need to look at these things. You might be thinking that why I'm not getting more than 7 bands, or why I'm not getting more than 6 band at least. The reason is because you're not looking at the requirement, and this requirement is also necessary part of the writing essay. If we talk about the coherence, logical organization of information is really important. The second thing is there must be a clear progression throughout the essay of the ideas. Your ideas must be flowing in the proper way. So that is more important here. Now talking about cohesion, cohesive devices must be used appropriately throughout the essay so that it looks everything linked. But not to overuse them or not to underuse them. That is the main requirement here. So make sure guys that you don't use in addition, moreover, or maybe for examples too much, because these are all cohesive devices. You need to use them at appropriate place. Now let's talk about lexical resources. What is lexical resources? Lexical resource is the fancy name of vocabulary. We might have come across different words throughout our life, and we might be using them in our essays. Or even we try to learn some words, we mug up some words, especially for IELTS purposes and GRE purposes for that matter. But when it comes to use those words, we need to make sure that we don't force these words into our writings, because when you try and force these words, it clearly shows the examiner that you are trying to impress the examiner, and we don't want to do that. Actually, what we need to do is we need to make sure that they go in the flow. Your words, that sometimes what you do is like you remember and use those words without thinking the meaning of that thing, because one single word has lots of different meanings. But then when it comes to use them in our sentences, we need to make sure that this word is appropriate for that particular sentence. If it is not appropriate, then that means we are not going to get marks for our lexical resources. That is more important, guys. So keep in mind when you're using these kind of words in your essay. In lexical part, you may make some mistakes in using appropriate words. That is absolutely fine, because what we are looking at here is requirements for 7 bands. So if you are making some small errors about word choice or maybe a formation of the word, then absolutely fine. Don't worry about it too much, because what more important here is to try new words but not to force them into our essays. And the second thing is to use proper collocations as well. What happens is like we know different words but we don't try and use proper collocations, and collocations is really important in your writings, guys. So make sure that you also use some appropriate collocations, and I'm sure that you guys can have a lot of collocations PDFs from internet. You can download them and you just have a look at it. If you find that these words are appropriate and that can be used in your essays, then go on. And finally, I'd like to grab your attention towards the grammatical range and accuracy, because a use of variety of complex structures is really important to get 7 bands in your essay. You might be writing simple sentences and wondering why you're not getting 7 bands, but that is the reason. In order to get 7, this is the basic requirement to use complex structures of the sentences. Now, if you don't know how to write a complex sentence, then you need to go back to old school, find out the books and try and learn how to use the complex structures, how to format a complex structures of the sentences. The second thing here is, while we are producing complex structures of the sentences, we need to make sure that they are error free as well, because what happens in our writings is we generally forget about using appropriate prepositions or conjunctions, so that errors can also be counted as a grammatical error. So we might be losing our marks in that particular part as well. So using appropriate conjunctions, prepositions in your complex structure is also an essential part. And the last thing here is to have good control and punctuation of the grammar in this area, because sometimes what happens is you might make some mistakes, some small errors, but that can be acceptable here in 7 bands. But when it comes to get more than 7 or 7.5 or 8 bands, that is not acceptable. So guys, do you think that if we follow these all instructions, we would be getting 7 bands at least in our test? Yes, that is for sure, because you're giving exactly the same thing which examiners are looking for. So if you give them this, you'll definitely get 7 bands in your essay. Remember that these were the requirements for only getting 7 bands. If you're looking for more than 7 bands, you need to watch different videos of mine on this channel. So please don't forget to subscribe it. I'll be putting more videos on this channel. Before we leave, my next video will be on structures of the different types of essays. So don't forget to watch, and thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Have a nice day.